Hey guys, hey everybody, you're welcome to Passports Beyond Borders. My name is Kimberly and I have a special guest here who is my husband. And what's your name?
Felix Israel from Tabenda.
Thank you very much for joining us today in this video. So the reason why we are seated here is to share with you our experience. Recently, we traveled to Cameroon and we had a transit visa issue at Zurich airport in Switzerland. And I mean, that's just the reason for this video, to help you just ensure that you do not happen to find yourself in such an unpleasant situation. So we again are Cameroonians and we recently went to Cameroon for an event. We had 6 days for this event and it was, I mean, it's just a very brief trip. And of course, before traveling, you need to ensure that your visa, your travel documents are all in order. So the first thing you have to do is to check your passport, and of course our passports are valid. The next is visa requirements, and of course we're going to Cameroon. We don't need a visa for Cameroon, but we flew SM Brussels, and unfortunately for us, SM Brussels had 2 stops before Douala, and these stops were Zurich and then Brussels. So here's the story. We leave from here, we're traveling via Edinburgh, and what happened? So we get to the airport, and you know how it is at the airport, check-in is usually, it's much of a hassle, and it gets to a point and the person at the counter is, just looking more intensely at, the requirements. And again, as somebody who has worked in an airport, you start to, understand those looks, and we're like, is everything okay? And she's like, well, everything is okay, but she's just checking some requirements. She calls her superior, and they say everything is okay. She makes some calls and everything is apparently okay. So what's our own? Like, all we want to do is to travel. But again, because before leaving we had checked our visa requirements for these 2 countries. What we did not know was the fact that if you're transiting to Schengen countries, you require a transit visa, especially for us who are Cameroonians and maybe other African countries. So when we get to the airport and this lady is checking, so detailedly, we know that there's possibly an issue, but then because they board us, it's no longer our concern, because the airlines has boarded us and they've taken us to Zurich. So we get to Zurich and we have a long layover. A couple of hours. About how many hours?
It was supposed to be 6-7 hours.
7 hours layover. And because he's working, we are now in search of a transit hotel. So we see the directions to a transit hotel, and we start to just engage on that trip, that journey to a transit hotel. But when we get to, we see a door, but this door did not look like any normal door. It looked like a door that required some kind of pass. It looked like an exit, like you're exiting into the country. And we're like, okay, we need to be sure before we cross this door, because we could definitely cross, but before we cross we need to ensure that we could come back without any issues. So my husband walks up to, he says we should go consult. Interestingly, there's a passport control just at the corner. So we go to the passport control, and what happens? You meet this guy.
Yeah, so we got there and met this guy, divinely orchestrated, called Felix. And so we asked him about our way around. How do we get to the transit hotel? Just want to be sure so we don't go through that door and we can't come back. And he said, no, the transit hotel is just down. Go through the door, you'll see the transit hotel right ahead of you.
Yeah.
And so then, and I asked that, okay, and in terms of coming back, are there any concerns? We are traveling to Cameroon. So the moment I mentioned we're traveling to Cameroon, he asked, so which passport are we holding? I said the Cameroon passport. And he said, which airline? And I said Brussels. And the next question was, so but you would have to transit through Brussels before going to Cameroon, to Douala. Like, yep. And he goes, there is an issue. Like, what issue? He said, just give me your passport. So we gave him.
Yeah.
It wasn't an interrogation or anything, so we gave him the passport. and he said, okay, he's going to make a few calls and kind of help us out. But even before that, he mentioned that this is a common error that Brussels Airlines always does, and because of that, it's going to be a challenge for us to. We don't have a transit visa.
Yeah.
So between two European countries, Cameroon passport holders, you need a transit visa if you're going to go through two European countries, which we didn't have. But we do not need a airport transit visa if we are flying into Zurich and out to our final destination, or into Brussels and out to our next destination.
Yeah. So which is what we actually checked before leaving. So we checked these individual countries, and we saw that we did not require a visa. So we were at peace. And now this guy, Felix, says that, well, this is a common issue. You definitely need a transit visa. Yeah, so...
Yep, so he takes the passports, makes a few calls, and a few minutes later we get two immigration police officers coming over, well-suited, guns, everything.
I mean, it was not that deep. Like, all we wanted was airport hotel, like
just
transit
we're just looking
hotel,
for information,
and we were just getting information. Like, and then we see people coming, you know, they're all suited with two guns. We're like, okay, like this is.
So they come over, and we gave them the passports. They took us into an interrogation room, questioned us about where we're coming from. We presented all of that and where we're going to, and so they made it clear to us. Unfortunately, we can't go into Brussels before boarding for Douala, because we needed a transit visa. So we filled in a few documents here and there. By the way, interesting fact, they also took us a picture. You know, the criminal pictures they'll take when they catch a thief.
I mean, that was like the funniest. I mean, well, I thought that was really intense, because like, we didn't really understand the process, and because they made us take those pictures, they took us through the interrogation room. You know, they asked us a couple of questions, and we had to fill a form, you know, and this form was very detailed. And before we filled that form, we spoke to the police. We're like, we need to understand the implications of these documents, and they're like, oh, well, it's not going to affect your records or anything. We just need it for our records to ensure that, to let you know that you've been denied a transit visa, and SM Brussels would need to reschedule your flight via Ethiopia with Ethiopian Airlines. So that's what eventually happened. So they gave us the documents. I mean, what they gave us at that time, at that night, was a pass, because we had to go to the transit hotel. We had to go to the transit hotel. So they took our passports and gave us a pass. So we went to the transit hotel. I mean, it's like this really nice single room. Unfortunately for us, because we're two, they didn't have like a double bed, so they had literally a single bedroom, and they put us like a mattress on the side, which, you know, like a pet child, like you just have to manage on that. I mean, and then what was really nice about that transit room was just the view, because you could see the tarmac with airplanes. You had an airport, and what you have as a view are aeroplanes. So it was really nice. So we spent 8 hours at that hotel, and we had to check out at 8 o'clock in the morning. So when we did that, we went to the police station, and they gave our passports and, you know, took their passes. And yeah, so that's how it ended in Zurich, and we were able to board with Ethiopian about 10 hours later. About 10 hours later. So we literally spent 24 hours in total at the airport. And for people who have booked a 6-day trip, you know, losing 1 day was a big deal. I mean, and again, it's not really much about the money, because SM Brussels would have had to refund us for the expenses, but it was about just losing a day. And why are we even making this video? It's just to help you out there, because we know that our audience are travelers, and even very seasoned travelers would make mistakes, you know, and this is a really common issue. It's unfortunate that it happened to us, but it could also happen to you. So before you travel, if you have a flight that is going to you have to disembark, because one thing that I have to mention is Ethiopian Airlines from Zurich stopped in Italy, but because we didn't disembark, it was not considered an entry, and we went via Addis. So if you have to disembark on a flight and stay over at an airport, and again to another second airport, which happens to be in a Schengen zone, you may require a transit visa. So please check that. Even if you hear from the airlines that it's okay, you need to be sure that, I mean, because it happened to us, we did check. I mean, the airlines boarded us, but we still had these issues, and we could have been repatriated, we could have been sent back. So please, guys, you take care, and when you're traveling, make sure you check all your travel requirements. And you know that we love you. I'm glad that you were able to watch this video. I hope that it was helpful. If you have any questions, just leave them in the comment section. Thank you so much for watching. And once again, if you haven't subscribed to our channel or our social media handles, please go ahead and do so. I'll leave the links in the description box. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope that we will see you in the next video.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, guys.